Welcome to Season 3 of Pod Practice with Team USA player Quinn Feiner, Team USA Grandmaster player Mikey Lunn, and myself, Alex Atkins. You can now find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We want to keep growing the Pod Practice community, so reach out to us with your thoughts on IG and YouTube at podpractice_pod, or email us at show@podpracticepod.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
What are we doing today?
Today, we are reminiscing on what was and what could have been
And what wasn't?
and what was not.
Who's whining? Is that Atlas?
No, that is Lila.
Oh, Lila.
Why are you whining?
What's wrong with Lila?
Bring Lila on camera.
Yeah.
Do you need to go outside?
Hi, Lila.
Oh,
She
Lila.
doesn't need to go outside. She needs to maybe take some pee.
All right.
All right. Season 3, presented by BE Ultimate.
Free shipping in November for B Ultimate, by the way. For the full month of November, we are offering free shipping to North America in our shop. Browse club replicas, pro replicas, B originals, and much more, including Pod Practice merch, like such as the hat that Quinn is wearing. Use promo code FREESHIPNOV at checkout. And by the way, that hat that you're wearing, Quinn, I still love that hat, but before I was hating on the slightly structured one, the low pro or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And I actually lost my Bravo No Pro or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called.
The no pros this one, yeah.
And I started wearing the Low Pro Bravo one that Stan has broken in, and I do like it. It actually is pretty nice.
I was thinking about getting one for next year or for UFA to try
play in.
Yeah, to try it. Because this one's nice, but I don't know. Switch it up. I love these hats, but maybe switch it up.
Yeah, I like them too.
Cool.
Kins is dealing with Lila and Atlas. But we're here to maybe commiserate a little bit. I don't know, or look back on the silver linings.
Review
if we can. Review after action review of Club Nationals 2024. Who's starting? We sucked.
You put it in the doc, you know. I'm waiting my turn to go last.
Oh, you want me to start?
Oh, yeah, sure. Shall we go in that order, or should we mix it up?
I can start. Well, no, I don't want to start. Someone else start.
Okay. I'll start. I'll start. I'm happy to start because I do think everything that went well and went wrong this season started from the top, and that starts with the coaches. And I've texted this to you guys. I know you guys have been nice, I suppose, and told me not to take the blame. But I think it starts with coaching. I think it starts with where we put you guys in the field. Integrating Quinn, you as you came back, and also Nut, and not even just personnel and on-field stuff, but where we're putting you in places to feel comfortable emotionally and energy-wise, and not even just you two guys specifically, but some of your teammates. Yeah, so when I think about our offensive rotation, it was going to be different than it was throughout the rest of the season because we were integrating not only you, but Danny, who was coming back from an ACL, and not having some pieces that we're comfortable having with Piper, who was a practice player for us, and just like definitely an elite level player that we just didn't have a roster spot for in the series, and so the pieces just didn't mesh quite as well. And all the signs were there in the last month or so of practice. Our O line, we call Magellan, was not playing super well together. We could tell. There was also some injuries at practice, so we couldn't get the consistent reps to try to work through them. But I think I was a little cocky too, because I thought we would have enough time to figure it out at nationals, because I was really confident in Voyager, our O prime or swing or backup O line, because the style of play that they had and the personnel, I was super confident that they would be able to continue the momentum that they had from pro champs and regionals. But it turns out, and this is no fault of Nuts at all, that Nuts' play style doesn't fit as well with how I wanted that line to play, and how I think they had found a good rhythm in. And so that backup option, that safety net, wasn't quite as foolproof, I would say. And from there, when you're playing from behind, we're trying to figure things out on the fly. Also, Joe coming back as a coach from a tournament setting. I will always say, like, it's so easy to work together as a staff, but when it's just different, because we knew what we don't have a lot of tournaments anymore like we used to like get on the same page, and things in real time happen quickly. And like I said, I think I was expecting to be able to figure out a lot of that stuff in real time because we had done it before. But we sort of talked about this with Dylan as well. It is hard to recapture that lightning, even if you know what it feels like and how you got there. But ultimately, like, when one little thing goes wrong, it just starts snowballing, and problems just get bigger and bigger. And I just thought we were playing catch up from the get go. I will say, I do think that we did figure a lot of stuff out through the weekend, but it was, too late.
Yeah, we had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all stuff that happened. And like, regardless of, like, I do think, like, we weren't a lot of the players weren't in their element. They weren't in the spot to succeed. But I also think, like, regardless of that, didn't play well. So it's not like you can, like, if you're not, you could still play well and not be in, like, your ideal position. You could still play well and not be in the ideal system. Like, we also just didn't play well. So I think that's kind of, like, underlooked in this conversation. Like, we didn't play well. Like, some of the turns weren't system turns. They were just turns. Like, you just, like, drops or missed throws or, what have you. So yes, maybe people weren't in the best situations, but it didn't feel like we came ready to perform at the level that is required of nationals. Yeah, and I think that that really hurt us. And of course, it took us a half of every single game we played to actually start going. So, like you said, we're playing from behind constantly. Yeah, I think we probably like you said. I think the team came in a little bit, maybe a little bit cocky. Like hey, we're good. We don't need to do this, and this, whatever. Like we're just gonna see success, and we didn't. Um, and it's not the end of the world. It happens, good teams lose early all the time, and I think everybody knows we're a good team. We know we're a good team. We just didn't have it that week, and we move on and hopefully get better.
Definitely.
What's
I think
on
you
your
guys
mind, Kins?
had the. I mean, I think you guys have like some good points for me. Like, I feel like we were on a good trajectory during the season, and we just. I think it's a lot of issues, and it's hard. If we knew what the issues were, that'd be great. But I think there were adjustments that we could have made better, could have done better, especially when. I think, especially after Pro Champs, is when we started to struggle. I think mostly in terms of the offense, just because that's the line I play on. And I think that was like the biggest. I don't even know how fair it is to give our defense an assessment like when you go down so much every game. Like it's just so drastically different. Like I think most of it was offensively. And I think, so I think we didn't make some adjustments. And then I think like to the cockiness piece or just like comfortability piece, I think it was like, can you hear Lila right now?
A little bit, yeah.
Lila!
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kid. I think something that we need to like focus on next year is definitely in-game adjustments. I don't think we make good in-game adjustments this year, and even historically, even the year we won, like I don't know if we've made that many good in-game adjustments. I think we came into games prepared for stuff, but when our preparedness is that a word? Yeah, didn't like work. We don't adjust super well schematically and things like that. So I think that's something we can definitely work on as a team.
And as much
there's
as
a stubbornness to us.
As much as in game,
yes.
what I was more thinking about was like to me it was like after Pro Champs, which it was really weird. Like we had this really good offensive performance. We had a good offensive performance at US Open as a line. We had a stellar offensive performance at Pro Champs, which obviously was different, but we still played well, the group that was there. And then after that, like could tell at practices, and like you alluded to, Mikey, we had, there was a mix up in pieces. Like people came back, some people left. So things were just different. And so we're just figuring it out. And I think where the comfortability came in was like, we were like, we've done well at nationals. When we go to nationals, like it'll be okay. Like we could see at practices that as an offensive line, we weren't playing well. But I think where the comfortability for me came in was like, but like it's all right. Like at nationals, we'll be able to figure it out, even though we haven't figured it out. And then it turned out like that was very much not the case. Like the line that was struggling at practice went down like 5-0 or whatever to Chain, So like it and then 4-1 or 5-1 to Furious. And so like where we may have thought that it was gonna be okay at nationals because previously we had done well at nationals, that was not the case. So I think like staying humble enough to like make the adjustments throughout the season, just when you recognize a problem, like if you recognize that something isn't going well, being able to change it. And I think what happens too, from like, I look at it mostly on like a personal level, just because like that's all I really know and all I really have control over, was like things started to not go well, and it just, like you said, it kind of starts to snowball, and we never had that reconvening moment of like, okay, things aren't going well. What do you think? Like, what do we need to do to play better? And I know that really like affected me, and I think I could have handled Lila. What I was saying, right, was it just started snowballing, And so I think like that problem that we were having at practice, especially when the pressure comes up of like nationals, it just gets worse and worse. And we never took that time beforehand to like reconvene and kind of like come together and figure out like, okay, we have this. I think we were complacent. Like our offense was doing so well at Pro Champs, so we just do things out, and we never really came together as a group to figure out how the new offense was going to work. And I think what happened for me personally was I just started getting frustrated that it wasn't working, and then like didn't handle those frustrating, like those emotions well. And then it just, and I think that happens to different people like on different spectrums, but then it just keeps getting worse when you're not handling them well. You're not actually letting those emotions like fuel like positive change. They're just, stoking the negative fires.
Yeah. I think two things that I thought about when you were talking. One is like I don't know if this is a chronic thing, but this year it felt like we overanalyzed a lot of things as opposed to just like going out there and playing. We just like overanalyzed, and it kind of put us in a bad spot. Especially with like such a talented team. Like if we were to just go out there and play, like what did Manu say about offense? It's like jazz or something like that. Like she's just like sometimes, yeah, you just go out there and like run around, and it's just you just play frisbee. And I think we could have used a little bit of that. And second thing is like it's kind of in the same vein, but I feel like we overreact to certain things and we underreact to certain things, and sometimes like it's the wrong things. So like maybe this year pro champs, like we overreacted to success. And not to say like that wasn't a great win, but maybe we just overreacted to that success in a way that kind of steered us in a direction that ended up not being the full way we wanted to go. And then like in terms of underreacting, like at nationals, we get just waxed, just fucking destroyed by Chain in the first game. And I feel like we underreact to that. It's like everybody's like, oh, it's fine, like we'll figure it out. And like while that might be true, like it wasn't true, but while that might be true at like sometimes, like yeah, sometimes you just lose games and you figure it out after that. Like I don't think like losing a game that badly like should be cause for a reaction. So I would like us to just react to things instead of underreacting or overreacting, which I think we've.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the like leadership coaching, because I do think like deciding when you're going to react, like you're saying, like that's kind of the hard part, because it's like when do we feel like enough O-line practices that are going poorly is that time to react. And I do think that comes down to like people can be feeling it, but then ultimately like that's why you have captains and like coaches, because like those are the people that make the decisions. Like now is the time to react, and and so I think like being able to recognize that at some point. And I do think I think part of it is just how it ebbs and flows, because like we had said, like I think part of that not reaction was based off of our previous success at nationals and being like it's fine, we don't necessarily
it's certainly a delicate dance, because we also say two things that we've said a lot in the past. One more recently is that we have to figure out solve our energy first, and then solve the tactics and scheme and strategy. Another thing that we've harped on is to like not get too high, not get too low. So it is, I think one thing that us as a coaching staff, myself, Joe, and TK probably were a little misaligned on is where each one of our energy levels was at any given moment. So I don't think we could present a unified front to the team. Like using the chain game as an example, like what is the right answer? Is the right answer to just maybe it's sort of like what Dylan was telling us, how Vin was it Dylan that was telling us this, that Vin broke out the or maybe it was Will Laurie that was telling me this, because
I think so.
Basically it was like this is when we decide what kind of team we are speech. We can either roll over and die or put everything on the line. And there's like times when you need to go all in for sure. But if you're if you go all in and don't respond well, then that's another issue, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I gave a similar, not exactly the same, but a similar speech before the Furious game, and then we came out and went down like 4-1 or 5-1 or something like that.
Right.
So it's like,
and honestly, it's so hard. Like it's so easy because it's so easy in hindsight, but a lot of it, like,
well,
we
this
think
is
we
what.
know.
Sorry
we
to
think
interrupt.
We can know, but we don't know, and a lot of it is just dictated by the results, and so we can attribute.
It is a it's a thing that has to be practiced throughout every single interaction and the entire season. And I don't think we do that super well. We need to be put in stressful situations. We need to practice reacting to things. And I actually just had coffee with Chuck Cannon this morning. And he was talking about Alicia Dixon. Apparently, Alicia has a master's in sports psychology, and it was really interesting to just hear a little bit about it. I would love to
We should bring him on for sure. Honestly,
yeah, we should get Alicia maybe just to consult sick. With Summit and Bravo, if she's open to that.
This is a good topic to talk about. If we want to, do we want to talk about an hour?
Yeah,
well, what were you saying, Mikey? You got coffee with Chuck.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you were in a story, dude. Well, and now we're
but like, he was talking about Alicia, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that like maybe to tie a bow on it a little bit, from like a leadership standpoint and coaching standpoint, our energy was not good. It was not consistent, and I also feel like what I've been doing when I'm TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and I've been saving every short that talks about the importance of body language, the importance of responding positively to your mistakes and other people's mistakes, and how powerful that can be. Like we have people on the team who are more impacted than others in terms of like if you tell them they did something awesome or tell them they did something really shitty, like it affects them pretty drastically.
Right.
And like their range of their skill level is so huge.
Right. You can really maximize their output by like instilling confidence and stuff in them.
And that's one reason why I was, again, a day or two too late. I was happy that we had those conversations pre-second chain game, I think it was, about what are everybody's strengths and what are our own strengths and how do we maximize those.
Yeah. And really, to be honest, because like you can like kind of sometimes talking about it gets really exhausting because you could talk about so many different things. And what I'm always, whenever like shit like this happens that is really doesn't feel good and is really frustrating just because, you don't do as well as you want to do and whatever. Like I always just like the main thought that I take away is just like focusing on myself and what I need to do better, because like ultimately, especially when I'm like slipping into negative places, you're just thinking about all these other things that you have no control over. And then it's also like just a distraction to how you should be acting to be a good individual. And so like my biggest takeaway is just focusing, on myself and like my emotions and making sure I'm focusing on the strengths and focusing on the positives, because I think like a large reframing like that will allow for just more positive emotions, more, or like, just less negative emotions, how you're focusing on it. And that's really like, just one of my main goals is to be more individually focused. I think like Quinn, when you brought up like overanalyzing, like I overanalyze this shit out. Like when I'm getting like frustrated, and instead of going to like lock in and be like, this is what I need to do. Like, these are my strengths. I'm going to go do these things. How am I going to set? I just start thinking about all the things we could do to fix it, and then everything everybody else could do. And that's when I'm in like my negative, frustrated state. You know, when I'm in my good state, I'm really just thinking about myself, focusing on what I can do to be the best I can be. And then when, like, the funny thing is, when you focus on being the best you can be, that's how the other people become the best they can be, you know, not when you're fucking focusing on all of them to do the other shit. And so that's like, you know, out of all the corrections, like, that's really where I'm at, and like the most important thing on my dome when I leave, and like what I hope to just like maintain focus on throughout life.
Yeah, there's 2 sports college videos that I'm like, that I just clips, not videos, that I like a lot. And that one reminds me of this dude's talking about Kobe Bryant. I think we've talked about it before. And he's telling a story. It's like Kobe's in the playoffs. He's young. It's like young in his career. And he misses 3 shots to win. And after the game, he's like, his head in his hands on the bench. And they interview him after, and they're like, God, that must have felt terrible. Like, how did you feel about that? He's like, no, feeling doesn't have anything to do about it. I was thinking about like why I missed those shots. So you talking about that reminded me of that, instead of just like feeling terrible, like actually focusing and like how can we get better and how can we move forward. But one thing that like under the other clip that resonates with me is this guy calls it turning it loose. And for me, he describes it as like not caring what other people think, not caring about like failure, being okay with failure, and just like leaving it all out there and turning it loose, which is really big for me, because I focus so much of myself into Frisbee, and I like weigh so much of myself, like of my persona as my being.
Yeah, on like how our placement at nationals,
on how good I am at Frisbee. Like it's actually fucked up. It's probably unhealthy. Like if I'm bad at Frisbee, then what am I? It kind of thing. Definitely. And that's like legitimately how I am a lot of the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like part of that, of course, comes from like I want other people to think I'm good, and I want other people to like me, and all this shit, which is,
we need the ego death.
Yeah, like it's probably, I probably have a huge ego, but and like all that shit, like
it's a normal ego.
Like it's really hard to kind of separate from that, and just,
and that's like what we
turn it loose.
Totally. And like I think what we were talking about earlier too is like one of the ultimate goals is to just like not attach yourself to results. You know what I mean? Because when we like, it's so hard. I know, right? So hard. But like if we're focused on like the little things that we're doing, I think when we focus on the results, it just becomes like larger than it is. Whereas if I'm just focusing on the process, like how different was I from when we were winning nationals, going to semis, and like these nationals? Like definitely there are things that I would do differently. And when I'm focusing just on like how I was in those moments, there's things that I want to do differently. But if I'm looking at like how I was as an actual person, like the things that my personality and who I am doesn't change that drastically from like tournament to tournament. So, but that is, it is so hard because it's so natural, hard. You know? And I think that's part of like that's why you like having that continued success it just doesn't really happen that often, because once you have success, you attach yourself to that result and you get comfortable. And when you do poorly, then you attach yourself to that result and you are like really fucking motivated and figuring out a way to detach from that. Yeah. And that's very motivating to me, but I want to be able to find that place where I'm just as motivated if, we win, because that's just how I am, like there's a world where it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You just have a process that you go out and follow. And it doesn't matter, like, if you're a winner or a loser, you just are this and you do it. The other thought I had,
it's something.
I just was saying about being in the head and overanalyzing is I noticed too, like for some of the later rounds, when I get out of my head and like the overanalyzing, like you just get into this zone when you're playing where you're just trying so much harder, but you're not like thinking about it. I think like in some of the earlier games, like when I'm more in my head, I just like feel like tired, or like I just wasn't, you're just not kind of in the zone. Like the chain game, I never really got in the zone, and it wasn't until like that kick in the ass that like I was like, I just need to, and you start focusing a little bit more on yourself and start running really hard and like warm ups to like that. You just get into this place where you're just going.
Yeah, I mean, you more than anybody probably can impact your teammates positively and negatively just by your mood, and because you have a lot of charisma, truly.
Yeah, and we've known that for a while. Like the spectrum is super vast.
We've
like,
known that.
like
Big
it's figuring out how to fucking control it into a positive more often. That's the difficult part. Like I know that if I'm being positive, it's a huge positive impact on everyone, and if I'm being negative, it's a huge negative impact. And so it's literally just my struggle of figuring out how the fuck I'm going to be that positive force as much as possible.
Will you be the Dementor or the Sunflower?
I feel like the Dementor is so much. Is the Dementor like they don't?
Well, they suck the happiness out of the location that they're in. Everything goes dark.
Right. So I want to be a Patronus, not a Sunflower.
Yeah, not a Dementor. Be a Patronus, not a Dementor.
What would my
Patronus
be?
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's hard not to say Atlas right now, but I don't know.
Something tall and lanky, like a deer or something. It's super lame, but
maybe new segment. What's your Patronus?
What is my Patronus? That's a good segment. Maddie could come up with something for that.
Yeah, we need to have Maddie on to do that.
We'll stay tuned for that segment.
Yeah, we need more ideas for Maddie and Will to have a recurring segment together.
I think one thing that'll help with that is I've been thinking about it because that's what I'm saying. Like I'm thinking about, what I need to focus on. I think it's I think when I'm not a captain, which I haven't been on the last few years, this is the same thing about attaching to results. I'm like, you're not a leader, whatever, you know what I mean? Because like formally you're not a leader, but like, regardless of that, I have to be, and like, I am a leader. And so like putting myself more into that role and like attaching it to my identity, regardless of like what my, like the title is I think will help me be more of a positive force, because like if I'm like, you're a leader, you have to lead, and a leader leads in like a good leader leads in like a correct way. Like I think that is something that I've been thinking about.
I have a question for you guys too. Is it? I have an answer because I've been thinking about it a long time. Well, since nationals. Is it easier to lose like we lost and play well as an individual? Or is it easier to lose and play poorly as an individual? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. My initial response is
depends on your ego, right? I guess a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on you. My initial response is
Maybe.
It's easier to play. For me, oh god, yeah. There's so many different ways to take that.
So initially, you think, well, it's easier to lose and play well because then at least you could say like, oh, I played well. But what I have been thinking about, I think I played pretty well at nationals. Some of the games, like in the chain game, there was no one that could even play well because we just didn't have the disc at all, basically.
I mean, statistically, you guys played very well.
Okay.
What?
Also,
stats?
This is another thing. This is another thing.
Don't attach
this
to
is
results.
Thing.
No results.
This is another thing. Stats do not mean shit at nationals unless you made fucking semis or finals. I don't care what your stats are unless you made semis or finals, maybe quarters. So my stats, kin stats, anybody that didn't make semis, you can fucking take their stats off the website because it doesn't mean shit.
They're also just the most limited the most basic stats ever. Like,
yeah,
it's like.
But back to what we were talking about. Initially, you think like, oh, I played well, so losing is a little bit easier because at least I can hang my hat on the way I performed. At nationals, I thought I played pretty well in most of the games. I think the chain game excluded because literally, like the first chain game, literally like we couldn't do anything. It was insane. But it's almost harder for me to swallow losing and me playing well because again, I think it bruises my ego and maybe makes me think like, oh, maybe I'm not that good.
Yeah,
Like maybe
Like you don't.
Well,
have as
I
much
can play
control
well and we
as
can
you
get our
think.
fucking doors beat off like every single like, you know.
I think whatever you can do to detach yourself from I language is good. Like we
Yeah.
lost is
Yeah.
like I do think like as
Totally.
leaders, if you have the emotional capacity, the mental capacity, which I think you do,
Right.
to like maybe to shoulder some of the blame. I'm not saying that you should or any
Yeah.
individual should have to, but I also think it's valuable when we are talking team and energy, someone to follow.
I agree with all this, but it's not the essence of the
question?
question. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. You're right, but it's not the essence of the question, which doesn't need to be answered.
I think you kind of just have to brain hack yourself to
yeah.
to just
Because in
always.
some ways it's easier to lose and have not played well because that means
Exactly.
That means if I play better, you know.
You have an excuse.
Well, or
You
for
sit
me,
there
it's
like,
more
oh, I
like,
didn't play well.
well, for more,
Here's
it's like
what
if
I
I
mean.
play well.
When I
then,
think about your if I think about both of you, a positive way for you guys to have egos is like there's always another level. You guys can
Right.
always play better.
Right.
You can go
Totally.
10 for 10 on hucks in a game and score 2 goals or something.
I didn't touch it just 10 times in the chain game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem,
Well, no
right?
one did. I mean, we
But
barely.
I don't think anybody had 10 touches.
the point.
Oh, how about
point
Jay
is,
though? That was awesome. Anyway,
like what else can you do though? Like maybe you can be better. Like
yeah.
as it like pumping your teammate up. I know there's a bajillion different ways
You're
to
right.
do it.
No,
I see what you're saying, Mikey. There's better. There's not.
And I think that's the only way you can look at it. Even if it's sort of fake it till you make it. I truly do believe that.
No, that is kind of the thing. I mean, I do think the brain hacking is important. I think it's just reframing. You know, reframing.
My brain is too stupid to be hacked. There's nothing to be hacked in there.
Maybe it makes it
reframe.
easier.
You just gotta reframe, dude. Not stupid.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Cool. I wanted to say one more thing about Alex and your nationals and the impact on your.
I didn't know you were talking about me.
I didn't either. Because
that's your nickname, right? Isn't that your nickname?
My nickname is Alex. Yeah, literally.
Frisbee. Your name is Frisbee.
Please call me Frisbee.
Well, here's like I mentioned this to you. Obviously, Nationals was an emotional ride for us. It always is, especially. Not especially. It always is. It just always is. And I guess maybe I just want to put this on the public record because, like, I mean, both of you obviously mean so much to me. And the way that you're perceived is not always fair, I think, both by your teammates and opponents, but it's still something that I think you do have some control over. And I want to do whatever I can to help you for sure. Kind of get to that point of where you're just always exuding your best self because it is such an awesome person. And something that I actually said this we had a Bravo leadership meeting on Monday, and I said this to you too. Like, I want to be proud of you, you know, and sometimes it has been difficult to be proud of you, because of some of your behavior. But we all know that you are an insightful, amazing person, and I want the world to know that and understand that. And I am happy that we at least have this platform for some people to be able to see that side of you on a more regular basis.
Thank you. Yeah, it is weird because for some reason in Ultimate, like in the rest of my life, I guess it's just because it's emotional, you know. It's just so much harder in Ultimate. Like in normal life, obviously that side of me never comes out, which is interesting. But in Ultimate, it's yet to be conquered on the field in Ultimate settings. If you have advice, let me know. The final frontier. But we're going to get there. I think these types of, I think what's really nice about trying to, how we're saying not attached to the results. What's nice about these results is that they are very motivating, and I hope a big part of the process of, I think definitely a big part of the process of just improving when shit like this happens.
Exactly. All right, what's next on the docket here? Are we done talking about nationals, or
I think we could talk about some players that we thought looked good, and maybe just like a little bit of the games that we played. I don't know. Could be
I'm down to go over it from that perspective as well.
Yeah.
Just what stood out.
Maybe we skipped the first chain game. No, I'm kidding. People from chain. Yeah, it's tough to say.
Yeah, I don't know. We could literally skip from chain.
They literally just beat us.
We just played so bad. It was awful. They did play well.
Spiva looked good that game.
Spiva looked good. I do have a couple shots from that team. Spiva looked good. He fucking hand blocked me on the goal line, which was hilarious.
He did? Oh yeah.
Dude,
I don't know if I've said that before on the pod, but when I was in high school and he came to Philly, I noticed that he had a good mark and he would hand block people regularly in league and stuff. And I definitely, I think he has a mark that you could study. It's close and it's effective and it's aggressive. Yeah. He just puts a lot of effort into it. It's a good mark.
Yeah. I was talking to him after the game about it. And usually when I get hand blocked, which I don't get hand blocked that much, humble brag. I don't get hand blocked that much, but when I do, I kind of know it's happening as I'm throwing it. You're like, oh shit, I think I'm going to get hand blocked. On that one, I had no idea. I was going to throw it. I'm like, yep, this is off the line. Boom.
Different pattern.
Just fucked me. But I was talking to him after the game about it, and he's like, yeah, I haven't gotten anyone in a while. I used to get people all the time, like Kins, like you were saying, he's like, used to have a really good mark. He's like, I haven't gotten someone in a long time like that. I'm like, sick. I'm glad I could be that person for you.
Yeah.
But I also think him and Fairley on that D line.
Yeah, Fairley's
they moved the ball so well for that D line. I think Fairley's a really, really underrated player.
He's solid. He's always stood out to me.
I wish I could have matched up with I'm blanking on his name now. Oh, Kenny.
McCormick?
Kenny Taylor. McClamrock is really good. Yeah, McClamrock is really good. I wish I could have matched up with Kenny Taylor more. He was not playing in our second game. Because I think he's a really good defender. I just didn't have enough chance to play against him, to be honest, to know.
Nothing really happened.
It felt like I got the vibe that he could be a really good defender, though. I just in that game, I can't tell.
He moves well for sure.
He feels. At Pro Champs, they were putting him on our handlers, and that was a problem for us.
He did call, I think, a bad foul on me that the observer upheld, but whatever.
Observer upheld it, dude. Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah. Dude, I watched it back. And I'm trying to avoid him, and he it's fine. It's funny.
And then Brett.
Anything else from Chain?
Solid.
Brett's incredible.
He's just a big.
Yeah,
Brett's just.
I thought Aiden Downey played well against us too. That first,
Aiden's just good.
And Adam Miller always, he's a little.
Dude, Chain's good.
That's a good fucking team, man.
Well, that's the thing, though. Yeah. That's the thing. That's what I always take. One of the big things I take away from nationals often is those teams are all really good, and who's it click for? Yeah. It's the team. But that's what we're and I think that's why it's nice that Mikey was talking about that in response to your question. It really is the team, the individuals. It's how the team becomes the most important thing at those times. That's who plays well. Any one of those teams could catch fire and just be, ridiculous, but it's just so rare.
Yeah, Furious. Shall we do Furious?
We played Furious.
Furious was good.
They were really good. I don't know a lot of their names though. Is going to be the issue.
No, none of them.
We kind of shouted them out with Dylan a little bit.
We did, dude. That's the best 4 seed at nationals I think I've ever fucking seen.
Okay, I will say something because I wasn't thinking about it at nationals because it wasn't a helpful thought to have. But this frustrated me against Furious. We were down like 5-1. Okay, so shit's not going well. That's how the story of the game went. I don't remember, but we went down like 4-0. Do you remember what was the exact sequence of events?
Yeah, something like that.
4-1, I think.
Anyway, we're starting to come back. I throw like an inside to you or something on the goal line, and it's like classic defender, like makes the noise like they were gonna get a D, like they were like close, right?
Yeah.
And I just go, "You weren't even fucking close. Like you stop it." You know what I mean? And he goes, "Oh, scoreboard," because we were down like 3, and I'm like, "All right, we'll check back in on scoreboard. Like, well, let's revisit that for sure later." And that was the exchange. And that literally was the only like heated exchange. And maybe some other players were like yelling stuff because they like hear it. And then they're like, "Quinn, you have to come up to me at a halftime and tell me they don't want me to. They don't want me to talk to them after that one." That is such a normal sports interaction. I understand that, but to not be able to say, like, to joke with someone about them making a noise.
This is where your reputation precedes you. Unfortunately,
I agree.
I know, but I still think it's crazy. Like, that was the interaction that led them to.
Well, let's do a little coaching
not
now.
Being talked to.
Well, one, I want to say overall, Furious was an amazing opponent because I thought that they handled a lot of chippy situations that were kind of chipping it like we were on the wrong. I thought they handled it. A lot of the physical stuff.
At the end of the game, or what?
The
oh
fouls.
My God, Koolman felt bad about that.
But let me just tell you,
okay.
Observe.
Okay.
Just like hearing you and watching you and listening to you recount that, like I could feel my heart rate get up. I could feel some anxiety.
Why?
And some of it is the body language of like the animation of your movements, the elevation of like your tone and
excitement.
Like, and like that does not put me in a calm headspace.
No, it's more like
that's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
I'm not saying that you should not do that, but I just want to point it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that there are probably moments like this where you are just being yourself, and you are probably not that riled up for you, but other people like another Kobeism.
No, sure,
Kobe has so many quotable things.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
The thing about Kobe
but
though
we're
is
playing in a game. Like, I don't like. Isn't
I know,
there going to be?
But one of the things that I love, I think this is actually a Phil Jackson quote, and I've said this before. It's like when Phil tells Kobe, you have to realize that your 7 out of 10 is most people's 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in terms of probably like effort and everything. And but I think I agree with it applies to this as well.
And I get that. And I understand that, but I still think that's a interesting thing to motivate being like should that be, I guess I'm saying, should that be not a thing that's not part of a game? Like a little bit of
because of where you're at, whether it's fair or not, you have to work harder to be on people's good side.
No, but I don't even worry. I don't need if me doing what I did in that situation puts me on their bad side. I don't know if
hang on.
Need to worry about that.
So I think the issue is, Kins, and it, like Mikey said, it's not fair. Mm-hmm. But you automatically start on people's bad sides,
and they don't know me,
and they don't know you.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
But I don't. And that's.
But you have to look at it through the lens of of you are already starting at this massive disadvantage, bad side. Like that's just how it is. Yeah. So then the smallest thing plummets you even farther into that.
Totally, that's fine. Yeah. But like,
so that's what.
Does that mean we should be okay?
No,
I agree with
it doesn't
all that.
mean. Yeah.
I'm still kind of making fun of the fact that one interaction could cause to being requested that you don't talk to.
But
them.
then there's the impact on teammates, which is it's just not. It's a tough situation for you to be in.
But you think that has a like
I
that
do.
little
I
bit of
do.
trash talk has a negative
I,
effect,
uh,
or their react, or
100.
the fact that they
Yeah.
Both.
Oh
Yeah.
my
You got.
Okay,
but
moving
that
on.
wasn't even like okay.
Yeah, moving on.
Dude.
They were
That perplexes me honestly. Like,
shout out
I
that
just
whole
don't-
team, man.
I
They
don't
were
understand that.
they were really
Yeah,
good.
shout definitely Fury. I do 41 again. I just was really impressed
Bedard.
with him.
Yeah,
Bedard.
he was. Yeah, they just reset the disc in the second half of the game just with such poise. I don't know how
They were consistent.
they were good, man.
They didn't just give you the ball.
After recording this episode, Kins and I jumped on to record the season 3 intro and got to talking a little bit more about his interactions with teammates and opponents as it relates to the Furious George game. It was a good conversation, so I thought I'd include it in here. Before we just started recording, what I'm reminded of is my conversation with Chuck this morning, and he was telling me about Alicia Dixon's sports psychology background, and she'll say to teams she's working with, it's clear that y'all have never played another sport that's not frisbee,
Right.
because of how they handle confrontation, more or less.
And they can't.
Or criticism.
People are so bad at. They don't even know how to trash talk. They wouldn't know where to begin to like start to like how to like make fun of someone. I guess like in like a witty way that's actually gonna like piss them off, other than just being like fuck you, because that's not good trash talk. That's just and that's like you hear that shit and that's not good trash talk. That doesn't upset me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just like shows me that you're unraveling. But what I was saying is a thought I've had about people here before is that they try to remove adversity from the world, whereas I look at more of like how to deal with the inevitable adversity.
Well, you bring it to the forefront sometimes.
100%, and that's like it probably is a part of that philosophy, I guess. Like I don't know, like right, but I'm definitely not. That's a different thing because that's also like a confrontation, confrontive mindset.
Yeah, so I think you make some really good points, and it's always good to hear Buck's perspective as well.
It made me feel sane, and I liked it.
You are sane.
But sometimes when I'm talking to you guys, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm like, because I'm like, should I never do that? Should I never talk that kind of shit? And I'm like,
I definitely don't want you to swing that far, but I also the lens that I want you to be looking at things through is competition, and how can we be the best team?
mm-hmm.
I do think there's a lot of opportunities at practice where we can introduce some of this type of adversity and energy and
mm-hmm.
know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing is our team is not great at handling some of those ebbs and flows of energy,
mm-hmm.
and only responds to it negatively. So when we're inevitably at a tournament and that sort of energy is incited or injected into the atmosphere, it's like,
I see what you're saying, for sure.
So in my ideal situation, like my favorite athletes to watch on TV in sports are always the intense ones. It's the ones that talk a big game and back it up.
And that's like what everyone likes, but that's because like also who likes someone else being like, like cocky and in your face about like when they're
like
doing
Ant.
well.
Ant is so sick. But I also like the Tim Duncans, I like
everyone, and that's what's like. You're just the both sides is beautiful for sure, but I do think the like silent, focused killer is just way easier to handle. You know what I mean? He's not doing anything to upset you. Or like someone who's like on the shit, and I know it, and like what are you gonna do about it? Like that can be very frustrating, even when it's like you're just like doing your shit, but it's like almost like a threat to me,
Yeah.
So, but like it's kind of sick too.
I think the overall recap is I would never want to take anyone's individuality away from them.
No, but
As
you should
long as,
always
you
be
know,
finding what the line is, because it's like each instance,
yeah.
some things like we're saying, it's not like I was saying that all of the things that I was doing are okay. It's just that then finding, it's just hard. It's like, I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it'd be great for you, I think, and the whole team to have conversations about
I agree. This kind of
like
stuff.
this
I
is
think
yeah.
I think totally. I agree. That's what it's all about. Just understanding each other, where we come from.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. But okay.
Sounds like
Sounds like
uh
what?
it actually kind of reminds me of the whole political sphere as well. And
Yeah. Well, I've
um
been thinking about that shit too, because obviously so much of it kind of, we just learn a lot as we play Ultimate.
yeah, it's similar,
As a
like
team. As a team, which is like, that's like the most important thing, is like the team. And we're not a team as a
yeah,
country.
yeah.
We are the most not
Well,
team ever.
and what you said really resonated with me. Like, it kind of made me feel bad. Like, I'm happy that you said that you brought this up, because
Mm-hmm.
the last thing I would want you to do is feel like unsafe to express yourself the way that you want to express yourself.
Well, and at the worst times, that's, sometimes when there are moments like this, the only times I ever like, it like the thought even crosses. The only reason the thought ever crosses my mind of like, I don't know, sometimes I don't want to play here, is because
you can't be yourself.
I
Like,
can't just be this. Do you know what I
like
mean?
if you played for Pony, maybe you'd be
100%.
like,
That's what we said. Like,
yeah.
I'd be more supported probably for some. I'd be more on the supported spectrum end. But, like, I'm not even saying that's good, because being here really like balances me out. Like, there's universes where like I just stay over there and like I'm a real fucking dick. I think I've gotten a lot better as a human being here, and I don't take that for granted. I will say that. So
That's cool. That is cool.
yeah, it is cool, because it's also just like, that's why I love moving out here. It was just so different from where I grew up, and sometimes, yeah, it's hard because it's so different, but also like learning the best sides of both cultures makes me a better person.
Amen.
Philosophy with kids.
Yeah.
um,
Dude, maybe I should move to the East Coast and inject some.
You'll fucking, dude, I think you would break, because I think you would just, unless you would have to just stay strong. Like, you would get a lot better if you took it the right way, or you would break and your self-confidence would die, and like you would shrivel up and die in the whole hole. This is funny. Anyway, but just, you said the political thing, and Bella's mom sent this to me, and I really like this quote. Is, "We don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an endless succession of presents, and to live now as we think humans should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory."
Philosophy kids.
Like, that's really nice though, and that's literally everything that I've been thinking about post nationals, because it's like there's all the shit that is frustrating, but to be the best person I can be, regardless of all the things that are frustrating me, and not have that be a reason to do bad things that I don't believe in, is the fucking fight, man. It's part of the fight. And that is, I was just surprised she sent that quote, because of how much I had been thinking about it and resonated so much with me. I was like, wow. And that quote is, let me just, Howard Zinn. Thank you, Howard. Don't know who that is, actually.
Thank you, Howard.
That's a great quote. So
We played the Slammers next. Do we need to talk about them? We talked about them for an hour with Dylan.
no, we don't need to talk about them, but we can
not.
definitely, I mean, we at least, I think we didn't, and it's interesting we didn't even talk about that, in the recap, but just how we just had like a weird mindset in that game,
Yeah.
Coaches,
like we approached the
blame,
game so
blame for that one.
oddly, like
Yeah.
as like a final pool play game.
We could shout out that whole. I mean, they all played amazing, obviously, but
They're the champs.
Again, shout out Jack Hatchett, man. That guy, sick. I also in our game against them, Trevor Smith locked my ass up in the dump set one time, and it was real embarrassing.
I remember that.
Saeed had the disc, and I wasn't really sure what he wanted, and I got really frazzled and stuff, and that was part of it. But he locked me up in the reset, and it led to a turn. So,
I remember that. Yep.
Shout out Trevor Smith. Yeah, and me and Vin Bowie always like talking shit to each other, so that's fun.
I do think Henry's the truth too. By the
Henry's the truth. D. Lee's the truth. Dude, they're all the truth.
All right.
All right, fuck you guys.
They won. So
yeah, get fucked.
Raleigh.
Who'd we play next?
Raleigh RDU. They had
No, we played Ring next.
Oh, you're right. We played Ring next.
Pre-quarters against Ring.
In the fog, which was cool.
In the fog, that
cool
was
setting for sure. You could barely see the other
another
side of the field.
4-1, 5-1 debacle. I mean, Fairfax is a beast.
Fairfax is the most underrated player ever.
I overheard Eric E.T. tell Joe that this was his last year playing club. So
Fairfax?
No, Eric Taylor.
No, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that.
Just shout out Eric on a great club
Yeah,
career.
dude,
I mean,
I love
hopefully that's shareable information. So.
Yeah,
Mikey
maybe we'll
bomb,
cut that.
for sure.
Yeah, Fairfax never gets shit from like Ultiworld or anybody, but all the players that play with him or against him know how fucking incredible of a player he is. Like both sides of the disc, throwing, cutting, deep, under, like all of it. It's crazy how like close he is to like being a top 5 player versus like where everybody like ranks him in like not even the top 20, whatever. It's crazy. I think, yeah. Yeah.
And Babbitt still skies him somehow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I did really enjoy. Oh, it was just in their dig game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching Ty and Deux matchup.
Deux is incredible, man.
Deux won the matchup for sure, but Ty was right there.
Yeah.
Chasing him around the field.
The shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could shout out all my buddies on the team, but I'm not going to do that because they know already.
Then we went to play what? Who first? Doublewide? RDU first?
RDU first.
RDU. Solid squad.
Because then we played Doublewide at like 8 p.m.
Yeah. Will Coffin was really good for them.
Will Coffin is good.
Yeah, he was solid. They were solid. And then Doublewide was like, all right. And then it's like, whatever. Doublewide was an interesting game. I mean, shout out, whatever. No, honestly, can't forget about that fucking college kid. That kid on Doublewide. He scored like all their points. What's his name?
Yeah, he's good.
You know who I'm talking about. No, he's
Xavier.
Xavier. He's good.
Fuza. Yeah, he's good.
Shout out you, man, because you're very good, I think. And also, like, I was fucking with Toby towards the end of the game. I was like, is he better than you? Because, you know, they're both, like, young. Like, I was like, is he better than you, Toby? And Toby paused for a second before he said no. He did say no, but he paused, which is not a Toby. You know, anyone else, he's not pausing. So shout out that kid. He was playing well.
Yeah, he's not better than Toby, but he is very good.
Yeah, dude, he was. Yeah, I mean, different teams, whatever. I'm not gonna say who's better or worse, but he definitely played very. He
Toby's
scored
better.
like all their games, all their points that game.
Yeah.
So I wonder what his stats were at nationals. Honestly, now I'm curious.
He had 10 goals and 11 assists.
Dude, I swear half of them were in that game though.
Let me check with that.
I swear to you, he had 10 total scores in that game. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't think I'm kidding. Can you check that game?
I'll check it. Hang on.
But who knows what these stats are at that point? Like, there's like
they're
no one
they're
at the
definitely
fields.
wrong. Yeah.
There's like that was a funny moment looking up at the fields and the whole complex is empty.
Says he has 4 goals, 2 assists.
Okay,
that game?
6
Wow.
is that's
still
that's a
pretty
lot.
darn good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 is a lot. Because how many did they score in total?
12.
Okay, so he scored half of them, and he might have even done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the stats are. Yeah.
And then we played Chain the next morning for the game rematch, which
And
was
they-
banged up bodies on
which
both
was
sides.
fun.
They didn't.
but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brett, bummer.
Everybody was hurt. Everyone was in pain if they were playing. It was tough. But it was a really good game, honestly.
It was a good game. It was like, we were playing. It was our best game offensively, for sure. Especially
For sure.
I think when you take opponent into consideration and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
especially considering we couldn't get a damn hold against them the first day. The fact that we held pretty successfully throughout the game was,
Yeah.
nice.
No Kenny
And then-
that game. No Aiden.
No
who were
Kenny, no
big
Aiden, no
parts of their
Brett.
D line.
Yep.
And Brett
And-
was a big part of their team overall.
And then what? We were down. We needed like 2 breaks in a row. It was like 14-13. I think.
14.
And
yeah.
I think it was 14-12. We held.
right,
we
it was
broke, we broke, we-
14-12. Yep. And then we held, broke.
Yeah,
Jarvis sick D.
thinking about the
Yeah.
Yeah, Jarvis had a great D on Universe. That was a fun game. That felt like that just
It was
did
fun.
feel like a Nationals game to me. And I'm reminded of one of 2 things. One, we forgot to mention that Grant was hurt the entire tournament, so we that was another adjustment piece. We lost Grant after the first Chain game.
My joke was like, was Grant even like real, or was he just like a figment of my imagination? Because it happened so quickly.
Was that just a dream that we
Because
had?
he was like, at some practices, and then like at Nationals, it was just he was
Yeah, it
gone
is.
so soon.
It is sort of
too soon.
a dream state.
Yeah.
Another, I think, mistake that I made on the cockiness side of things maybe is just thinking that I don't know if maybe the cocky's not there. Maybe I needed to be more cocky. I needed to be on the field calling stuff. I think for you guys, even if it was the same exact thing that you would be calling.
Yeah.
Although we ended up, it's a lot easier to adjust things and move people around if I'm out there instead of having a player do it, even if it was one of you doing it. It's harder for you to notice those things and see them in real time. And it's also, if you do happen to have negative energy as a line, it's easier to direct it at the coach than it is each other. And I think we were able to make some good adjustments offensively that game and, move people around. So Spiva, for instance, couldn't have as big of an impact as he did the first time. And he actually, I thought he had a really good start to that game until we did move some of those pieces around.
And that was Nationals. So we'll never talk about it again. So leave us alone.
Until the next pod.
Okay, quickly some
Let's go into
Fairley
Fairley's
questions,
questions,
Michael
since
Fairley's.
we finished with Chain and now we're going into.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Actually, quick question for you guys. Podcast question. Do you guys think having this podcast impacts us on the field in any way, positively or negatively?
Definitely impacts because it's just different, and I think both positive and negative, and it just depends how you deal with it. But it is something different.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters to me that much. Affects me that much.
Okay. Question 1 from Michael Fairley. I guess we could talk about that more later, by the way, but we'll leave it at that. I'll actually read the whole intro because he's really nice to us. He's, what's up, guys? Fun matching up with you all always. Damn, Jarv doing it again like it's 2019 ESC. Dude is unreal.
Do you get that reference?
He had the double happiness for the bookends. Did he? Was that against Chain? I don't.
Against Chain, I got the D. This is 2019. I got the D on Universe on Austin Taylor. Jarv got this insane like back of the line toe against them on Universe, and we beat them. And it's like quarters of this horrible tournament.
Questions for the Nationals recap pod if you end up doing one here soon. For Quinn, with Worlds this year, how did the postseason Nationals feel different in any way? Was there any burnout from going very hard in training since January?
I think for some people, yeah, I don't really get the burnout thing. I think it was really hard to miss a really, really big chunk of the season. Like I missed a month of the season. And that's hard for me, especially from like being a captain's perspective and just all that. Like, I don't know. I always talk about like preaching, attendance and all this stuff at like practice and workouts and pods and whatever it is. And if it's, me preaching that and I'm gone for, half the fucking season or whatever it is, so that's hard for me. And just being away from the team is hard for me. So, yeah, I think it definitely weird for a bit, but I don't think it affected Nationals for me personally. For Nut, I think we never got him in the right spot, unfortunately.
His D was great. He played awesome defensively.
D, yeah. We didn't get him in the right spot, which is it's a hard thing to do with the Worlds, but yeah.
For Kins, and one thing that impresses me about your game is when marking you, I believe you do an incredible job of moving the mark with your fakes. I think of Idris Nolan. He quotes a Sky article that talks about faking as a thrower and what the best throwers actually the best throwers actually fake very little. What makes you able to move your mark so easily, in your opinion, for yardage gaining breaks? Any thoughts there, Kins? You think about that very much?
I don't know. I don't. I thought I've been thinking. I'm surprised that that's his takeaway because I've been wanting to work on that, and so maybe hi Lila. Maybe I have been working on it, and I'll think about it more. But I'm kind of surprised that.
Yeah, I think of your fakes as they tend to open up your throw and goes more than like big break marks usually.
Yeah, I agree. Like I want to be better at throwing more, of moving my mark more to get to throw even more like effective on target breaks. And I do think I have a good pump fake, like the ability to actually like make it look like I'm throwing, but I'm not throwing. So I think that's good, but I don't know what that comes from.
Yeah, I think what you do a good job of is when you catch the disc, you have that big backhand pump that
that people respect.
I can see you doing it right now. Take that big slow step and you like swing your arm around.
Yeah,
and people think it's coming for sure.
If it
does come, it will come.
Yeah.
I'm just getting ready in case it does come. And then I got the last second, I'm like, oh, okay, we're not throwing that. And then we don't.
Yeah, I think you're really good at in that moment. Like as soon as you get the disc, maybe mid stall is not as much.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I want to work on the more like mid stall, staying low, throwing more shimmies, more effective fakes, and then being able to throw even sexier breaks. But thanks, Fairley. Yeah.
And then he asks me a question. As a former coach myself of, do they say Atlians or is it ATL? How do they pronounce that team?
The ATLians. I don't know.
ATLians?
Whatever.
He coached them from 19 to 23. He's okay. I'd love for you to comment on how the Denver Boulder community develop team and get players better over the season. For example, Seth Wells, D-liner last year, great college season, and then center handler at nationals. Is there leadership feedback involved, or a ton of players involved, or a lot on players to handle themselves in off season or in pods? Any other good example of people leveling up over season? So I will say all the credit goes to the players all the time. Seth works his ass off, and he has since day one, since before he came to Colorado. For me, like, I think all of our coaches have different strengths. We've talked about Nut as an amazing teacher. TK is so good at like little fine tuning, especially like footwork defensively. And he also like, he sees the big picture really quickly. Joe, amazing for mood, energy, culture, buy-in, motivation. And even though I am focused on offense, I do think that I am probably best with offense. Generally, my superpower is probably developing relationships with the players.
I think
I mean, you guys.
while you are
Go
good
ahead.
at offense, I think you're best at like developing like certain skills in players, like helping develop. Like that's what I think you're best at. I think you're best at helping people with like specific skills. That's my opinion.
Which comes with the relationship part too, because you have to
Mhm.
have a good relationship to
Yeah,
have people
think
do that for you.
Like I think
yeah, I
if you
would
could sit
probably
with
agree with that.
like someone and work on like their inside flick or something like that, and all the pieces that go into that, I think that's like
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I'd agree with that. I very much try to stay away from the lens of right and wrong and give like, well, think about it this way.
Yeah.
This is how this player does it. Maybe you should watch him
I mean,
or
look at
her.
Toby's flick. That thing is fucking ugly, man, but it works.
It's fast. It's real fast.
Speaking of that, this is sorry to cut you off. That clip of that Nathan Kolovich. Okay, I'm never gonna pronounce. I think that's his last name.
Kolakovic.
Yeah, that posted of us. I've never watched myself throw a flick in slow motion. That was kind of cool.
That was a good clip.
Maybe
I love
very-
that
There's
one.
some there's
Sick,
some
man.
there are some disc
clip.
golf. There's this disc golf page that posts like a 5-minute video, and it's of a disc
Yeah.
golfer throwing a disc in like the slowest of motion. Like it's actually like kind of a like sometimes you're like, all right, let's speed it up, but like
Yeah.
it's very cool to watch the throwing forms in slow motion.
Yeah, they LT World did a series on that for a lot.
Yeah,
of
there was
the-
a Jimmy Mickle one. I remember watching that.
I think there's one of Vale and a bunch of different throwers.
Yeah, I felt like a conceited asshole, but I sat there and like watched myself throw the flick in like slow motion for like 10 replays. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, I think it's a good idea.
I've never-
been thinking
it was
about it
cool.
more for like workouts, training, all sorts of things. I think you should just film yourself more. It's like you just get
Totally.
a whole different perspective.
Yeah. And on the player development question, from my opinion is it's easy to overcoach. So let people try things and just, I don't know, you just kind of push people in the right direction, and if they have the motivation to do it, then they'll figure it out.
The best players are self-aware, in my opinion. They know what to work on. I think
Yeah.
a lot of players, I think we've probably said this before, but a lot of players love working on what they're already good at. And it just doesn't push their ceiling up that much. So like
Yeah.
someone like Seth, like since we used him as an example, Seth, like he can get open in the dump set very, very well now, which is not something he has historically been able to do. And so it's just like working on that thing that like doesn't have to be a bunch of things. Like everybody can work on a lot of things, but just like finding that one thing in your game that maybe isn't amazing and that's going to push you to the next level, like that's what's going to make you great, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you are trying to push people in the right direction, help them identify those things and phrase it in that sort of way. Like this is what's going to make you great, instead of like, this is what you suck at and you should, stop doing this.
And I think the relationship piece, like you said,
Um,
like you have good relationships with those players, and therefore, like, they're more open to when you talk to them and share your opinion. So it's like
rapport.
the
Yeah.
baseline
Yeah.
is
Just
having that
if you,
relationship.
if I kind of like, sometimes I have a shotgun approach. I provide an infinite amount of resources and opportunities for you to try these things. So it's on you if you don't take it.
Sometimes I think that's almost bad though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like sometimes then
choice.
someone's like they see all this shit and they're like, "Fuck, I don't want to look through all that. I don't want to do that." Whereas you give them like,
Oh yeah,
you give them
for
one
sure.
really good thing. You say, "Hey, look at this one thing. Do this one thing until you're really good at it, and then do this other one thing."
Yes, you're right. And I guess when I said shotgun approach, I'm like, I have a home gym, and like,
Yeah.
you don't have an excuse. You have a free gym membership here.
People find excuses.
Yeah. But you're that. No, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
What you said.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to do fan shoutouts? Do we have any?
Well, at least one person took a photo with you at Nationals, I know, and you saw someone at the airport. I don't know if we ever shouted him out or not.
Oh, dude, what was that guy's name that I saw at the airport? This was way before Nationals. Where was I going? Fuck.
Did we shout him out ever?
I don't think so. He's a triangle player. Let me find it in my phone. I was going to a work event in Nashville. His name is Matt. Plays for a team called JoJo. So shout out Matt. I saw him at the airport like randomly. Like I wasn't even in frisbee stuff. Like he just
Right.
Like, saw
That's
me.
when it's
like,
crazy.
It was cool. Yeah, it was very cool. So very.
That's like
much
the first
appreciate
one,
you, Matt.
probably. First,
But yeah, it might be
out there in normal life.
No, because I got recognized at a concert.
Yeah,
we shouted
Red
that
Rocks.
guy out. Yeah. We got to shout out our two Canadian fans, Justin and Collie. And
Is that how you say her name?
I think it's
Collie?
Collie. I saw her at the party after, and I said Collie. She didn't say anything, so.
So she. Speaking of
and
the
then
Canadian
her friend, Bryn, who I took a picture with at the party too. Bryn was stoked, so shout out my boy Bryn as well.
You took someone also at the stands.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
It starts with an A, I think. We should have prepared better for fan shoutouts.
Yeah, but I will say on the theme of shoutouts, it does, and I've said it before, it does always feel very good. Like when we go to Nationals, a bunch of people say some nice shit, and it's just a good reminder of like, all right, you know what? Yeah, I should keep doing this. Like people actually do enjoy it, and like, okay, because without it, maybe in my head, I'm like, I don't really want to do the pod. Like Mikey's asking us, it helps or hurts us. Like, what the fuck? And like, I'm like. After Nationals, one of my first thoughts was like, I'm done with the fucking pod, dude. I'm not going to do it. I swear to God. Like, after we lost, I was like, I just can't do the fucking pod anymore. I was so pissed off. But people say a lot of nice shit. And, thank you. It actually does mean a lot. So,
yeah.
Speaking of Canadian fans, it was actually really funny because I don't know if it was in reaction to what had happened because I'm not sure he was that aware of what was going on in the game. But some guy in a Furious shirt came up to me and was like, yo, you're like one of my favorite players to watch. I like all the shit that you do. And I think it makes it like really fun. And I was like, your team just told me not to talk to you. And I was like, I'm not on the team. I just like root for them. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, hell yeah. Thank you. And yeah, which was a funny moment in relation to that one earlier. But thanks to that guy.
Fierce George also has a Bernese Mountain Dog. One of their parents have a Bernese Mountain Dog that looks exactly like Boss, and I always love seeing that dog out there.
Yeah, that is cute.
The grit coach. I'm forgetting her name. I forgot.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's
we
name.
can't
I'm
do
sorry.
fan shout-outs if we're doing this every time.
Nancy
Like, come
was
on.
it?
Yeah,
We're
the
like,
grit coach. Oh my god,
we're like,
she was so stoked.
Well,
Okay,
she
I
bought
let's
a
come
t-shirt
back
for
to
her
this,
son.
dude. This is we need to show
No,
more
we're doing this.
appreciation than and that
We're doing this.
and then do you remember that one?
The grit coach and her son. Yeah. Yes.
Shit.
Thank
Okay,
you,
and I
Grit
found-
Coach and son. We appreciate
Yeah.
you.
I found the guy that I took a picture with at finals too. His name is Arath.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, brother.
Mexico U20.
Oh, it's so lit.
2024. Yeah.
Dude, let me know because I'll come play. Quarter Mexican.
U20.
U20.
Proud of it. Would do that. Would play for
Is that all of
Mexico.
them? Did we?
I think that's all of them.
Oh,
Do
I
you
guess,
remember that one
shout out,
though? Remember that one?
maybe
one
shout
time?
out all the Sixers players for wanting to trade with the Bravo.
Somebody message us and tell us why you guys wanted our jerseys so bad.
Dude, I got a
I mean, they're sick.
I
They're
got a
sick.
sick pair of shorts, Sixers shorts, extra small or some shit for Della. And they are. I wanted to get her a nice pair of those just for like exercise because they're nice shorts. And I got it. I was like, fuck this jersey. Here you go. We also have 3 dark blue ones, so I'm okay with my 2.
And we're getting another one.
Yeah.
Let me get
So
the
it's
jersey.
okay.
Let me get the jersey I got.
Yeah, I should find the shorts. Go try them on. We'll take a picture later because I was wearing them after I got them. And they all the Sixers players said I looked great in the extra small Sixers shorts. So maybe
You did. You look good.
if they want to send another one out, for me
is
to
that a
share.
Thomas? Who's
No, it's Monks.
Malks?
Kind of sick.
The Mighty Trucks.
Mighty
Mighty
Trucks.
Yeah, I ended up like all the players had run out of jerseys to trade with the Sixers players, so I actually got to trade with Brittany Dos Santos, and that was pretty like Brittany's an
Beast.
amazing player.
Yeah.
I didn't have my jersey with me, and it was a no number. I don't have numbers on my jersey, so I ended up shipping her the jersey and a couple T-shirts. Might as well promote the pod a little bit, but she did send a nice message.
Are we talking Brit?
Yeah. Also, someone on Goat saw the Insta handle and was like, "Wait, you traded with the pod practice guy?" I was like, "I guess." And then he told her about the pod, and so she said she might try to.
Most number one ultimate podcast.
Most
Suck
number
it,
one.
Deep look.
Suck it, E-Block. We're coming for your ass. No, we're not. We're not. I mean, everything.
The ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate.
All right. Did we do it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for sticking around through 2 seasons. Please let us know what you want to. Yeah, your favorite losers.
Okay. Yeah, your favorite losers. But I got a bone to pick real quick before we sign off. This is a good ending.
Yeah, with Deep Look and All Too World.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, kind of with All Too World. With Alex Rubin, man. You're right. We are losers, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, I agree. Also, but the concept of winners and losers from nationals, what a weird fucking article. What are we doing with that?
Also, to be fair, we did not pick the bracket to be accurate.
No, we sucked at that. Oh my god.
That's why.
But I'm okay with you calling us losers. I'm okay with you calling us losers because you're right. I'm not upset about that.
No, we're not.
What I'm upset about is your jersey article. You put our flame jersey in the interesting category, which is a good category, and then you said they're so ugly that they're cool, which is exactly what we're going for. But my problem is that's what I said about them. Yeah, and I know you heard me say that about them, and then you just put it on the article like you said it. You basically just plagiarized me, bro.
Alex.
Like, give me credit for that.
Yeah.
God, dude.
Don't kick us while we're down. Come on, dude. What the? Heck, man.
Just
Ticked
like
off.
just plagiarism. I was a journalism major. I know about
Maybe
that
it was,
stuff, man.
It could have been ChatGPT for all we know.
No. How many people have you heard talk about
Quinn is
ugly cool
convinced.
besides me?
Copyright. Ugly cool.
Yeah.
Ugly cool is my thing.
I might have heard other people say that.
Because I said
I will
it.
say
I have that much
shout
pull.
out-
Yeah.
Shout out for sharing your opinions on people's jerseys, because I think his it's so subjective.
Yeah,
It is. So
yeah.
that's the big thing.
Your opinions are wrong.
Hey, what exciting shit should we do in season 3? Here's what I'm thinking. I messaged it before. I gotta get a new Xbox, but I really think. But here's the thing, Quinn, because we have
What's your
different time
Patronus?
schedules. I'm gonna. Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know
we
what
do.
my Patronus is, but so this will be good though, because I can stream during the day. You can stream at night, and then we can get both audiences. Like I think what I'm saying, people, is let me know, because if you've made
We
it
should do
this
it
far,
together. We
you're
should definitely do
definitely
it together.
commenting. I want to do it together, weekends and stuff. But during the day, before I go to work, because I work at the restaurant at night, usually.
Yeah, but
Hop
my
on,
schedule's
get-
pretty chill.
No, yeah. But I'm saying for
Yeah.
the people who don't know, I want to get Xbox. It was actually one of my friends who I play Xbox with from high school. It was his idea. He said I should stream and do talk frisbee with the chat, but then be playing Xbox. Because like people like I rip at COD. Like I mean I'm not like in the phase or anything, but I can play COD, and I like Xbox. So it'd be a great idea to stream.
So you want to get the new COD? Can I get the new COD on?
I have the
I think
new
I have it.
COD. It's free on Game Pass. Black Ops 6.
It's free.
I already have it.
I have an.
Yep, it
my
was free.
Xbox is pretty old. I think I have an Xbox One.
That's what I'm saying. So I have to get the new
Does it
Xbox.
work?
I literally have the OG Xbox. It works not optimally or even close to that. I load in late and the map doesn't load well. It's fine though. I can still play with my friends because I'm a social gamer, which is why the streaming thing is so good. Because I don't play Xbox by myself. I play with my friends on because I like the team aspect of it. Omar Semron said he could set me up with like a good streaming setup, like with a camera and shit
hell
for
yeah.
like 200 something. We could do it on Twitch and YouTube. It's an idea, and I would enjoy doing that.
Comment down below if you'd like to see Atkins on.
And if you would interact
COD.
if we
COD
could
stream.
interact on chat.
That'd be fun.
And then I think some more like segments ideas. Because I
Segment
think I
ideas.
like having recurring segments. I don't think they need to be every episode. Like it can be every 5th episode or whatever. Like you do a recurring segment because like there's so many good ones. And you get like when we did Finer Things, it's a great recurring segment, except that we ran out of Finer Things after like 3 guests. Like how many Finer Things?
We
can
wrung that thing dry.
You know
man.
what I mean? So like we should keep Finer Things, but it's like every once in a while. That kind of shit. So
yeah,
we need more.
Look out for more segments though, because we're going to be doing more segments.
Let me find a philosophy quote.
Oh,
And we're
I'm gonna
getting
make you guys do a tutorial video too.
we're getting Brody Smith on.
I'm
I'm just
want
kidding.
to.
No.
Well, my dad said I was talking to my dad. You know who he said we should get on is his old friend Knob, who I guess runs. But it's no laughing matter.
We're
'Cause
not
Knob.
We're not getting your dad's friend Knob to come
He's
on
the
podcast.
CEO of Whiffdeath. He runs
What?
Yes. Dude.
Holy
So
fuck,
we're
we should
gonna
also
hop-
get Isaac.
we're gonna hop
Isaac
with
uh,
Knob.
He is,
Saul on.
he's
I feel like-
probably a knob, dude.
I think we're too small for Isaac, but we should get Isaac on. Ask him about the world. Are you
Why
gonna
am I
read
looking
something? Because I got something too.
You
from
know
the
what's
Tao
funny is I was like
Power.
looking at this book and I got one. I don't know who this
Okay.
is. Lao Tzu. Lao. Next
Lao
word.
Tzu-
Next.
Lao Tzu- It's Taoism. It's
right?
also author of the book that I'm hold. It's Taoism.
That's crazy.
The
Okay.
Tao Te
Well,
Ching.
being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Philosophy Quotes with Kids.
Philosopher Kins.
Philosophical Kids.
Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
Be
Bye to your
seeing
favorite
you.
losers.
Oh, Kins, by the way, I need to order like some sound blankets and send them to your house for Buck's sake.
Why is my room
He
not
said he
good?
can
It
do-
is like all hard. Oh, you know what I bet it is? Is it used to be carpet and they...
That's what he said. He said now he can hear everything that you say on the podcast.